As ACS Milwaukee Chapter Chair, we're really excited to host you for this first ever ACS National Convening. And we're here because Wisconsin has become ground zero for many of the issues that ACS is at the front lines of fighting, from restrictions on voting rights to criminal justice issues such as overuse of incarceration and racial disparities in criminal sentencing penalties. Locally in Wisconsin, we have many people fighting on the front lines of these issues, as you'll learn during our panels tomorrow and Saturday. And one of our progressive champions in that fight is Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett. Tom Barrett has served as Milwaukee's mayor since 2004 and represented Milwaukee as a United States Congressman for 10 years before that. He's a native Milwaukeean who has raised his own 4 children in Milwaukee with his wife Chris, a school teacher. Like many of us, Mayor Barrett is an attorney, educated and trained at the University of Wisconsin Law School, and someone who enjoys a great reputation for integrity, honesty, and fairness. Last fall, when the ACS Milwaukee chapter kicked off its revitalized programming with a voting rights panel at Marquette University Law School, Mayor Barrett graciously offered to come and remark on the attacks on voting rights in Wisconsin and nationally. He has always been an outspoken proponent and fighter for progressive causes. And lastly, and quickly, on a personal note, one of our local ACS members, attorney and author Jerry Buting of Netflix Making a Murderer fame, recently told me that his own wife, also a formidable attorney, Kathleen Stilling, told Jerry how she played on a co-ed basketball team with fellow student Tom Barrett when the two were at law school together. And Tom was the only male teammate who would pass her the ball. Tom Barrett is obviously not a newcomer to gender equality and respect. Mayor Barrett is a friend to ACS, and our organization and city are fortunate to have him. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett.
Well, good evening, and a warm welcome to the federal, oh wait, wrong notes. Wrong, not the federal. I get all these groups mixed up, what you left to right, whatever, but I'm delighted that you're here. I am very honored that you chose Milwaukee for this meeting. It's something really special, and I want to thank Craig for his leadership. I want to thank Mark Thompson for his leadership. My old colleague, Judge Lynn Edelman, I want to thank him for being here as well. And I have to start out, I had the good fortune after I graduated from law school for clerking, for Bob Warren, who was a wonderful man for 2 years. And I say that because I'm at the point in my career where I can explain to you how I got that job. I think for most law clerks, they were the big shots, the big hot shots and things like that. I was a student at the University of Wisconsin, and I signed up for an internship. And it was an internship where once a week I would come in and work in the judges' chambers. And I think the first or maybe the second Wednesday that I was there, the court secretary and the court clerk asked me if I wanted to play Scrabble. And I said, sure. So I played Scrabble with them at noon. And the following 13 weeks in a row, every Wednesday, I would play Scrabble. And we got near the end of the semester, and they said, hey, are you going to apply for the clerkship? And I said, no. I said, those are, that's the editor-in-chief of the Law Review and all this stuff. I was a good student, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't a skyscraper like probably most of you are. I said, no. And they said, we think you should apply. And I applied, and I got the job. And I believe, to this day, I got that job as a federal clerk because I played Scrabble with the people in the office. And I tell that story to young people saying, you don't know who makes the decisions in the office. You have to be nice to everybody in the office when you're going into one of these settings because you don't know who really calls the shots. So from there, I became fortunate enough to get involved in politics. And again, I served with Judge Edelman in the state legislature and then served in Congress for 10 years and then had the good fortune of becoming the mayor of the city. And so I'm glad to be here. I see Judge Colon as well, another former colleague of mine who it's great to see here also. And the way I describe the 3 different jobs, because I served in the state legislature, Congress, and now as the mayor, at the federal level, you're flying at about 35,000 feet. At the state level, you're at about 5,000 feet. At the local level, you are in the trenches, sometimes literally in the trenches. And it's very gritty. It's very gritty. That's not a good word or bad word. It's just a descriptive word. And there's not a lot of theory here. There's not a lot of theory. It's, okay, does it work or doesn't it work? If it works, we do it. If it doesn't work, we don't do it. And so it's just a different experience, but I've enjoyed all of my experiences. But since you're in our beautiful City Hall, just a couple of facts in case you ever get on Jeopardy. One, when this building was built in 1895, it was the third tallest structure in the United States, behind the Washington Monument and the Philadelphia City Hall. So it was a skyscraper. It is an irregular octagon. If you walk around the building, if you have a couple drinks, walk around the building, you'll see that it is 8-sided, and it is built on a swamp. And the pilings, and there's about 2,500 logs beneath this building that provide the foundation for this building, and they're in different clumps around the building. So when you walk out, you'll see that there's some construction that's being done at the northern end of the building. Because they're logs, they have to stay, and this is where you're going to see I'm not an engineer, they have to stay wet all the time or they start to rot. What happened at the northern end of the building is, for some reason, they weren't kept wet and they started to rot. So we started having our own little Leaning Tower of Pisa effect to the building, where the building actually started listing. So we're spending tens of millions of dollars to shore up the foundation of the building. So it's a glorious building. At one point we had screen all the way around, because during the Depression we had a couple people, I don't know how many, that jumped from the top floors, because things were so bad for them. In addition, there is a bell tower on the southern end, and at one point we had a family who lived there, and the husband's job was to ring the bell. And so we had our own, I don't want to say Hunchback of Notre Dame, because that's not politically correct, but we had our own bell tower there with someone ringing it. So there's a lot of history in the building. It's, again, as Craig pointed out, we had socialist mayors. The most recent socialist mayor left office in 1960, so it wasn't even that long ago. And so this city is rich with a history of having a democracy that's close to the people, as noted by the fact that you didn't have to walk through any metal detectors to get into this building, unlike many, many government buildings even around here. This is still very much the people's house here. But we love having you here. And I see Tim Burns, who's running for the Supreme Court, who just entered in the back, as well as John Richards, former state legislator. So we've got a lot of local luminaries here who are here tonight, and we're most of all happy that you're here. And I think particularly at this time in our nation, your voice is more important than ever. And we all are looking at what's going on in the United States Congress, with the president, with judgeships in particular, and there's reason to be concerned. There's reason to be concerned when you see a lot of the traditions. And in our own state here, for decades, we had a bipartisan judicial commission, and that is threatened right now because the most recent nominee for the Seventh Circuit was not approved by our commission. Nonetheless, it was made by President Trump, and one of our senators has decided that so much for this commission, we don't need it, so much for the blue slip tradition, we don't need that. And I think that type of behavior, I think, is a threat to all of us. So be vigilant, stay involved, stay active, and while you're here in Milwaukee, spend all your money. So those are the only things that I ask. And again, we're honored that you're here, and have a wonderful time. Thank you very much.
So I heard the words blue slip, and I thought that was my cue to come up here. You know you're in a great city and with a great mayor when he talks about the blue slip. Words that warm my heart. So I'm Caroline Fredrickson. I'm the president of ACS, and I am so pleased to see all of you here in the great city of Milwaukee. I must confess that I grew up in the other state to the south, outside of the city of Chicago, but I spent a lot of time growing up in Wisconsin, and I'd love to be back. And I am so proud to be here with all of you who will make up what is our nation's leading progressive legal organization. I just want to thank, for all of us, Mayor Tom Barrett and the City of Milwaukee for the support they have provided as our hosts. So before the mayor leaves, can we give him another round of applause? From this beautiful City Hall event to tomorrow night's dinner at the Milwaukee Public Market to the activities we will be hosting around town on Saturday, we are so thankful for this city's graciousness and are excited to explore its vibrant offerings. And I would like to ask you, while you are here enjoying this wonderful city, that you share your visit on social media and make sure you tag #ACS in MKE so that those of you in ACS, those of us who could not be here, will be able to join us by following your tweets. So I think we all know that this moment couldn't be more dire for our country, and it couldn't be more important to have a gathering just like this. Because bringing together the best legal minds to articulate a progressive vision of the Constitution is more important than it has ever been. We need this nationwide network because it will allow us to make a real difference in the legal and public policy debates that are consuming our nation. We need to ensure that the law is a force for good in the lives of all people. So I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Jeff and Craig, Jeff Mendel, who hasn't been introduced yet, I think, Jeff, who's over here, who are co-chairing this event for their tireless efforts in taking this convening from a dream to a reality. As the current leaders of ACS lawyer chapters in Madison and Milwaukee, we here at ACS already knew these two were dedicated members of this progressive community. But that said, they truly exceeded all of our expectations with this event and were the true local ACS champions of the convening. So I hope you'll join me in thanking Jeff and Craig for their great work. So I also want to thank our National Host Committee. I'm sure as you spend the next couple of days here, you'll have a chance to meet and talk to them. I'd ask you also to thank them for their great work, as well as the local boards of the Milwaukee and Madison lawyer chapters, who deserve a great amount of thanks as well. Someone we know said that it takes a village. It took a village, a couple villages, to host an event like this. And these wonderful ACS chapters and individuals went above and beyond to launch this first ever lawyer convening at ACS. So I know that there will be a number of our local members who are not going to be with us until tomorrow morning, but I'd like to know, who are the Wisconsinites in the room? Can you raise your hand? All right. There are cheeseheads here, I can see. So I also want to just take a quick moment to thank our wonderful sponsors. Very profound thanks to the Brico Fund for providing the resources to make this happen. Its mission of building the collective capacity of people and organizations to improve the civic environment of Wisconsin is being advanced with this very national lawyer convening. So it's a very, very important mission, and we are very, very honored to be part of it. I'd also like to thank our law firm sponsors, Myron M. Cherry and Associates, Mastantuono and Coffee, and Craig, I hope I didn't destroy that, and Stafford Rosenbaum, who were also generous with their donations and support, and we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. Progressive voices here tonight will spend the next 2 days learning a myriad of ways to turn their passion into action, both here in Wisconsin and wherever your work shall take you. But I sincerely hope you will all enjoy tonight and the next 2 days of education, meaningful conversation, and networking, and be ready to turn your passion into action. So I really do just want to say, this couldn't be a more significant moment. I think a turning point for ACS as we grapple with the new challenges and recognize the real significance of the network that all of you have built. The fact that we have ACS members and chapters pretty much every corner of this country preparing and planning and litigating and strategizing and legislating to make this country a better place and to ensure that we take it back for democracy and for justice for all. So thank you for coming. Thank you for all you do. And eat some cheese while you're here.
Thanks, everybody. Just wanted to mention, Jeff Mandel and myself are here. If you need any tips, those people that raised their hands from Wisconsin, ask them. We are Midwesterners. We like giving directions, and we're very friendly. 2 quick tips. It's gallery night tomorrow, Friday night, in the 3rd Ward, an area near where you're staying, so there's lots of art to see. And use the river walk. You'll know what I mean when you start exploring town. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy yourselves.